So, what's going on? I'm out here in the woods to talk about video games, and the video game I'm going to be discussing is Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Hi. The thing about recording in the quote-unquote woods in the wilderness is that a lot of people actually go in here because, believe it or not, it's not the woods or wilderness. It's a bunch of it's a public park, sort of. It's a nature reserve. There are trails here. There are people here. So what are we talking about? We're talking about Call of Juarez Gunslinger. What is Call of Juarez Gunslinger? Well, Call of Juarez Gunslinger is a first-person shooter, or arcade-style cover shooter that came out around 2013 during the good old 360 PS3 days. Yep, I fucking knew this would happen. I knew this would fucking happen. There's a tick crawling on me. Ticks are little blood-sucking bastards that eat away at you. And you can't kill them either because they're so small. They're so tiny that you can't, like, crush them to death. Or maybe I just did. Did I get him? No, of course I didn't fucking get him. He's still alive, dude. I crushed out his neural pathways. There's no way, man. He could still be crawling on me. Look at this. This is terrible. This is awful. This is so bad. Okay, I swear to God, we're going to get a good take this time. Okay, are you ready for the best take of your life? Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Let's start with the gameplay. How about we start with the gameplay? Really, there's not too much to say about the gameplay. It's simple, it's effective, and it gets the job done, and it's satisfying. And I think that's really the most important part about a game like this. So there's basically like 4 types of weapons in the game. There's the revolvers, lever action rifles, and there's the shotguns. Shotguns are no good. They don't really fit into the game really well because most of the time you're not going to be close enough to enemies to really get a good use out of them. And even if you are close to the enemies, the lever action rifle just one-shots them anyway. I mean, seriously, just pick the lever action rifle. It'll make your day. And if you're feeling, if you're feeling like a real outlaw, a real gunslinger, then you can pick up the revolver. But really, the lever action is the best weapon in the game. We talk about the boss fights. Boss fights, I feel like you could say, don't really bring the best qualities of the game to the front because they're not the main game. They're sort of a deviation from the main game. And the main game is what they really got down. Just that arcade style, bang, 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 bang. And the boss fight, is just, sort of slows it down. There's some boss fights that are awful. Like that shotgun guides. Dude, there's this boss fight where a guy just walks forward and shoots you with a shotgun. And that's the entire fight. He's not like diving behind cover. He literally just walks towards you. And the last thing I want to talk about is there is the duels. So at the end of most levels, you'll get into a duel with a guy. Classic standoff. Who's going to draw first, shoot their weapon, whatever. And honestly, it's pretty good. It really adds to the feel of the game. And I think that's what's most important and what I actually really want to get into. It's a simple game. So you're not really worried about complex systems that will make you feel happy. It's more just how does the game feel, and does the game feel good, and does it make you feel good as a player, and does it make you feel like a cowboy? I'm honest, yeah, it does. So let's start with the duels. When you look at a standoff, in a movie or something like that, what you're really trying to get in on is like the stress before the draw, thinking about everything. It's the raising intention, and how do you make that effect happen to the player. So the way they do it is they have a circle thing that you move around the enemy, which increases your focus, and then you use like a left stick to move your hand around on the gun, which increases how fast you pull out the gun. And what this does is it makes your brain sort of need to track all these things at once, and it splits your vision because they're on opposite ends of the screen, and it really does make you feel tense. I f***ed it up most of the time. Oh my God! It's not like you're going to lose the entire level because of it, but it is a really effective way of getting you to feel like you're in a fucking duel, And it's kind of sick. The best version of the way they do this is at the end when you're in like a Mexican standoff, like there's 2 other people, and you got to flip-flop between each of them. And so it's like, oh, hit R1, hit L1, hit R1, hit L1. And it's just doing this great feeling of raising the tension by keeping your brain active in so many ways. And it's just really neat. It's a really special, unique idea. It's not something you could build an entire game off. But it shows their ability to the people who made the game. It shows their ability to sort of pull you into the game and make you feel like you're being challenged physically, if that makes any sense. Think Metal Gear Solid 1, when you're in the torture chamber, your revolver Ocelot is constantly cranking up the pressure, and you have to keep mashing to make sure that Meryl doesn't die, because we gotta save Meryl. You gotta keep mashing so that she doesn't die, and it physically hurts you because you're mashing so hard. It's the same thing. It's this really cool way of using the control scheme of a video game and the thing that's happening on screen to, I've said it like 10 times now, to make you feel like you're in the game, you know, feel like you're actually being pressured into these scenarios. And it's really cool. They also do it another way. There's like a perk that lets you reload faster, and instead of other games would just be like, instead of other games where it's like, oh, now you just reload faster, what they do is you actually can mash X to reload, you know, and like you're slamming bullets into the chamber of a revolver. And it's really neat. It's really well done. And I think those are the coolest parts of the game. It's not the specifics. It's just these little touches that make you feel sick. And that's what the game does best. And so yeah. So that's the gameplay.
Like I'm on a 25 player kill streak on the airstrike.
As someone who enjoys video games, I think a lot of people will sort of tell you this thing where it's like, I don't care about the story of a video game. I just want to get to the gameplay because that's the fun part. And I totally get that mindset. So if you don't care about the story in a video game, I will highly recommend Call of Juarez Gunslinger. And the reason I say that is because I feel like there was room for something really interesting. And they just missed the swing. And I don't know exactly what the swing was going to look like, but it felt like they were building up to something really cool. And they just sort of ended on a meh kind of story. So in the story, it starts off, you are Silas Greaves, the cowboy. You walk into a bar, and the entire game is based around the fact that he is retelling his stories of being a bounty hunter. And throughout the story, multiple times, things will happen that just seem completely ridiculous, like they can never happen. And the characters that you're telling the story to will be like, hey, no fucking way that happened. I know you didn't kill Johnny Five Fingers, because Johnny Five Fingers got killed by Timmy Tom Hands, and he blasted his brains out all over Darkest Square. And what the game is sort of getting you to think is like, okay, maybe the story that my character is telling is a load of crap. If you want me to recap the story normally, basically what happens is you play through, you kill a bunch of people, and the story's like a revenge story. And at the end, you get to decide to either kill this guy named Ben, or is it Bob? I don't know. It was a B name. And if you kill him, that's the revenge story. You become a husk of yourself, because revenge is bad. And if you don't kill him, then you inspire Dwight D. Eisenhower to be a good man. Yes, one of the characters you're talking to is Dwight D. Eisenhower. So that's the story. But what they had here was a game that is inspired by these cowboy tales, you know, these myths, these legends of these legendary figures like Billy the Kid and stuff like that, and all these tales from Western times. And what you could have done is something so cool, because it could have been like a commentary on the nature of storytelling and legends and urban myths, urban legends is the actual phrase. And I thought that was going to be really interesting, and they didn't quite get there. Throughout the entire game, you can pick up these things called nuggets of truth, which actually give you like real historical facts about times in the game, which shows a level of competency in the subject material that they're discussing. And I feel like they had something so cool. Most of the game plays off of like cowboy tropes, basically. There's even one part where you get like mystical sage advice from a Native American, which I know is pretty cringe. But I thought they were going to discuss that, you know. I thought they were going to show that mystical advice from a Native American is a stupid trope. I thought they were going to play on that, you know. But what ended up happening is they just used the trope anyway, which is like, you missed it. You know what I mean? You missed it. And it's I don't really care, you know, that they're doing these things. But I feel like when you're discussing these tropes and you're using them in your game there's so much room for discussion there, and there's such a subversive thing he could have done, and it just ended up being a revenge story. And it's like, that's okay if you just want to do a revenge story, but don't try to make the game seem like it's bigger than it is when you say that your fucking Cowboy inspired Dwight D. Eisenhower to like give up revenge and be a good person. And then he just went on to like win World War II. Like, props to him. I would have voted for him if he won World War II, but the dude was like pretty responsible for killing a bunch of people. And I know it was war, and I'm not trying to make a political statement, but this game shouldn't have tried to make one either. You know what I'm saying? They're making a game that had a chance to be subversive and interesting, and what they had is like just a meh story with no real weight behind it. And still they're like, oh yeah, and then Dwight D. Eisenhower was here. It's like, that's kind of hype as shit, but also, what the f*** is going on? Like, it just doesn't use the subject material right. Hi.
Are you watching for the foxes?
I am making a little movie here. Yeah.
Okay. There's foxes that haven't been in this area.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Still in public. Still out here. Discussing things. Still people walking around. It's good to be out in public and to talk to people instead of just cameras. But yeah, so that's the story. I feel like it could have done more, and it wasn't very good. But you're not playing the game for the story, and I think you could have played the game for the story. It has something really special in it, but they just missed. It's okay. It's not a crime. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen in the world. I'm not gonna get all mad about it and fluster about it. Call of Juarez is actually a terrible video game, but you know, it's just all right.
That's when Charlie got hit.
Charlie!
Fire, shouted Bill.
No!
Get to the other side.
Sergeant Charlie's dead!
So, I think that's all I have to really say. Should you play it? Oh, important question. Does Call of Juarez have the sauce? No. But it's still a good game. It's still fun. Should you play it? If it goes on sale for $1.50 again, you should definitely play it. It will take you like 3 hours to get through it. You know, it's pretty fun. If it's your kind of thing, if you like shooting, if you like cowboys, go ahead. It's not going to change your entire world. It's not the most incredible game out there, but it's really effective. And it's a nice little thing that I stumbled upon, and I enjoyed it. But anyway. Oh, I played this game too. I made a little channel. You can go to that channel and watch me play it if you want. Where am I headed? Wherever the wind takes me.